What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Dark Lord, the Sith's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at BanDai's samurai version of their Darth Vader. This is on loan to me from Chris L. Shout out to him. He's been hooking me up with all these so that I can take a look at them, so you guys can get a word on him, and it's greatly appreciated. He's a good dude. He comes with a lot of accessories, most of which are on him, but we will talk about the additional ones, which are mainly hands. He comes with two posing hands for each, like a force push hand for each. What's nice is that his right hand, all of his right hands all have the metallic, like the metal robot hand, which is cool. It's painted silver and gold, silver and gold, silver and gold, and then also washed with the black ink, which looks good. This one is just sculpted, and then we have like the little rivets and the material, the fingers, that's all done. And then we have this on top, which looks like it is painted silver, and that all looks good to go as well. All the detailing is the same throughout on all of them, so I'm not going to waste too much time with the rest of them. We're just going to talk about the hands and the position. So we have a holding hand here, which he can hold like one of his separate weapons for his left hand, and then we have a left fist, a right fist, and an additional, and then a choking hand pose for his right hand. Now, on him at the moment, he has a choking hand on his left hand, but you can also put it to like hold his secondary sword, which looks very cool, and then he's using the holding hand there. Let's talk about the other accessories that come on him. This blade, which goes into this, like the sheath, and then the sheath goes into this holster, like all of them kind of do, and that looks really cool. I love how they do that, but like a black glossy plastic for this. The blade comes out as a nice blade, painted silver. It has a little bit of the rust wash on there, which is cool, just on like the tip, so to speak. And then we have gold paint here, we have brown paint, and then we have the ribbons, so forth, of this all painted, sculpted, and then it has a wash on it as well. And the wash sits in those little diamonds in between the laces very well, and then gold paint on the end. And he does hold this just fine. I will try to illustrate that here. So no problems, and all the sword holding hands are all like identical or reverse mold. So you can see the robot one is holding that one. This one holds this one, so that's all good. I'm going to put this sword away now. Hopefully save a potential breakage. He also comes with additional lightsaber hilt, which goes in this place. That's where it was beforehand. It's like the two clips at the bottom, one at the top just holds in there with tension. It's a very cool design. It's got like the little sculpted stuff in there, and that's painted white and then washed with a brown. It's got the copper buttons there, that's washed. It's got black glossy paint, it's got copper paint, it's got silver paint. Everything is detailed and sculpted, and there's a slight curvature to it like a samurai sword, which is very cool. And then we have his last accessory, which is, well, not really. Same hilt, it's identical here. It is a nice paint around the, is that identical? No, so this one is black, like a black glossy around the bottom there. And this one actually has like a shade of green on it, which looks cool, like a army green, like an olive green. Hope you can see that right above his thumb there. Looks good, and then a translucent red blade to kind of give you that lightsaber feel, and that's cool. And the only other additional piece he has is this piece, which comes separately, and it looks like the Death Star, so that's cool. And there's a little tab there and a little slot there, and you just plug it on, and you're good to go. And it has this copper kind of paint or gold paint, and then it has like a brown wash, and then it has the black wash, which I'm guessing is a black wash. Maybe it's panel line, but it's right across the center there. You know, very like, you know, rising sun kind of thing, slash symbol, slash Death Star. All works very well. Now let's talk about this guy. Head sculpt. It's very cool. It's definitely stylized, and like there's a lot of like sculpt work in the lines, like the rivets and the lines between the eyes and the cheek area. The mouth kind of looks more like teeth, like a very like Japanese demon kind of look, so that's cool. The same type of thing I think here. Maybe not. No, this one isn't. This one may not. It may be on a hinge. I can't tell. Either way, it's not really needed. But it has this neck flap to protect the neck. It's like an armor. It's a black, and then it has this like brownish, purplish, burgundy-ish type stitches sculpted and painted on there. All the gray line work is painted to accent the helmet, you know, around the top and there. And then it has these little this little bit here, which are extra pieces glued on. It's a softer plastic to allow for articulation, and then all the laces are all painted identically to the ones on the neck armor here. So articulation is on a double ball peg, one into the head, one into the neck, and the neck is a floating soft piece of plastic that goes around the peg. So you get up to there, down to there, and then the swivel is intact. Not the greatest range of motion, but there's a lot of helmet that you have to kind of account for, so to speak. And that's kind of par for the course with every Darth Vader figure, right? So we can't necessarily hold it against this one. The cape itself is a softer plastic. I love it's got like a, it looks like airbrush paint to me. That's very subtle to see around the top. It's like a grayish, bluish hint. You can kind of see it in the lines there. Very nice, very subtle, and from different angles, I feel like you can't even see it, and it has the same type of effect. It's like a purple, has like a deep shadow in between the creases of the folds of the cape. Cape itself is a soft plastic. It's got the Lucasfilm Made in China bit all there, and when that is plugged into this ball joint back here, which does articulate also, which is interesting. Is it a double ball peg? Yep. So it's a double ball peg in his back right there, so that you can get his cape on it, and then you can articulate the cape out to the side a bit. Doesn't really work really well, but it's a very cool idea. And then good place to hide the words and stuff there. For the chest armor, it's this glossy black plastic in the back. On the front, it's more of a matte finish, which I think works well. All this stuff here is sculpted. You got this silver or grayish paint that's done in between the line works there. That must have been difficult, or they painted the whole thing and just painted the black over top, which is also possible. It's just hard for me to tell. All this stuff down here is sculpted and molded, and is painted silver and washed black, and then we have the turquoise paint there, red, silver, red paint all up in there. That's good. It's on a double ball peg for the waist. Once again, not the greatest range of motion as we've come to expect, but you get down to there, back to there, so the back works a bit better, and then a bit side to side. The swivel is fine, so I think that's okay. You know, Vader isn't the figure that you need the most articulation with anyway, because the character doesn't lend himself to really, you know, like extreme poses. He's a very much like, you know, business, here comes the business end of this lightsaber kind of guy. Up on here in this chest, this tunic piece, it's a separate piece, floating plastic. It's not floating, it's glued on, I think. Yeah, I think it's glued on. And the silver paint is all done on there, and that looks good. The gold paint on the buckles of the cape look good as well. For the shoulder, we have this armor here that looks really good. Silver, painted black, all sculpted and molded. It's on a ball hinge inside there, so you get the shoulder up to there. Then you get the round, so you can get the shoulder all the way back to there. And it works fairly fine. I feel like it might have a ball peg inside the body, but I can't really tell, because you get a good bit across the chest. I mean, look at that. And that's because they cut out the sculpt here of the chest and torso, put this flap over here to hide the sculpt so that that's not an issue, and then it gives you the room to get that limb across. Quite smart. No bicep swivel at all. You do get a forearm swivel, just like a quarter turn, so that is a bummer. And then a double jointed elbow that gets you pretty much the full Monty. For these gauntlets here on the side, this to me looks like it's silver and then a heavy wash on top of it. I think that's probably not the look they were going for, because it looks a little dull. It doesn't look as striking as some of this other silver stuff, but ooh, that side looks really good. We'll talk about that in a second. It doesn't look bad either. We have the hinged ball peg for the hand, so you get the hand up and down. I'll show you this now, and we'll just put the right hand that's got to be packaged back up on it, but same type of problem. They're small ball pegs. I've handled a few of these now, and I've never had any fear of them breaking on me. Well, fear maybe, but no real signs or potential thereof. And then the hinge does make it a bit difficult, but you can get it on there. You just fight with it for a second. So you get the hinge up and down. And the joint does swivel, so then you can get the hinge in and out. I love when they do that. For this arm, it's identical except for the sculpted here, which is the robotic arm, and all that looks good. Gold paint, silver paint, a nice wash on the silver, but not on the gold, it looks like. So the gold looks very vibrant in there. It's a good look. And then the silver paint on this elbow pad here, and then the same hand detailing that we saw when we were looking at the hands, but it looks good. So we'll get that out of the way. We have another floating piece of plastic here, which is good, and then underneath that we have another piece that's glued on. That's all good, and then we have these side flaps, which is another separate piece, which is glued on. So lots of layers, lots of depth, lots of like textures, which looks good. The brown leather sculpt work with the brown wash on top of it, and then the brown wash on the lighter color here, much like the wrap on the sword, but laid on a little bit more heavier so that the ink can really get in those seams. So that looks good. We got a hinged scabbard, like whatever, the sword holder thing here, and then it's got the black, the black wash on top of the brown plastic and the brown like leather worn sculpt detail work in there as well. All the line work in here all looks great. It looks like we have this, it looks like there's a black wash on top of this, and there's a black wash on top of the rivets that are painted on. There's an extra piece here. I'm just going to take it off for you, Chris. And that all looks good, and the all the laces and stuff are all painted identical to what we talked about up here on the helmet, so that's cool. This piece of fabric here, all sculpted, it's a softer piece of plastic, won't get in the way, and then uses that same logo that he has up here for the head to kind of carry that theme through, which is a nice choice. The hips are T-jointed ball joints. You get out to there, so not the worst at all, but not the best. Even with all that stuff, you get out to 90 degrees in front of you, and then back to just about there, which I think is fine. And then you get the thigh swivel built into the ball joint that I think is just anatomically correct to get by. All the pants are sculpted with the wrinkles and stuff very well, as we've come to expect. And on the back side, you do get the knees in there, but outside of that, it looks pretty good. The knees themselves are double joints, I believe. Yes. But the range of motion still isn't great, but you get it to a little shy of 90 degrees, so I think that's fine. And then we have the same type of design that's on the forearm on the boots. The boots are done better, except for the black is chipping off. I don't know if it's chipping off or it just didn't stay. It didn't stick or take, I think is the proper term, onto some of these parts on the boots. But it's not that bad. It kind of looks like some battle damage or stuff. It doesn't look bad enough where I would feel like you would need to fix it. However, I do feel like, nope, that's all part of the sculpt. It's just that paint that got on this part. Like if you look at the texture lines here, like they go down, they continue, but not here. Like this is a separate piece, and it's identical on this side, so it's supposed to be there. But when they painted this section, some of that spilled over into the black. Not the biggest deal, just pointing it out. Looks like that's where the paint inconsistency is going to be, if there's going to be some. The boots, I'm not crazy about the design. It may be accurate, I wouldn't know. I'm just not crazy about it. The silver paint on there looks really good though, and then there's all sorts of washes and sculpted detail and stuff, and then for articulation, it's a ball hinge. So you can ankle tilt down to there, up to there, which is really nice, and then the rocker, you'd have to turn the joint sideways, and then, try to do this. This does get, on the feet it does get a little obnoxious, but it'll work, I think. Turn the boot back around. Let me see if this one's any easier. Yeah, I've almost got it. There. So now you've got the hinge sitting sideways and the foot sitting front and back, and that gets you the ankle rocker. So it'll work. It's just not the easiest thing to work with. So it's kind of like once you get them posed, you better keep them there. And that's this fella. Size comparison wise, there he is next to the Mafex, just to kind of give you a sense of scale. So he's a big boy. The top of the Mafex helmet pretty much comes over to about the brow of the BanDai one. So, you know, it's a big figure, but it looks good. Final thoughts wise, the biggest negatives for me are that those ankle joints, they work fine. It's just getting a grip on them and getting them to work. I just wish there was a smoother way to do it. I wish maybe there was more tension on one end or the other where it made it easier to get leverage in order to rotate it. There seems to be some paint that got away from them there and the bottom as well, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, just pointing it out. And then the articulation is slightly limited, no bicep swivel, stuff like that. You can't get the wrist both ways, you know, you got to rotate it. But I'm good with all that stuff, and especially for a character like Vader, where I feel like it kind of makes, you know, more sense to have the imposing armatures and just bulk of the figure rather than have the articulation. Some figures, character-wise, I'm willing to make that trade. The Incredible Hulk is one of those figures where I'm willing to make the trade. Give me more bulk, less articulation, and I'm good. This is one of those times. My other complaint is the more I look at these samurai figures, the harder it is for me not to go in on this line. They really are fairly beautiful, and I am a bit of an addict. Well, maybe more than a bit. But it's a great sculpt, it's a great design, it's great paint for the most part, it's great materials, it's, you know, there's obviously a lot of love and care that goes into this type of thing, and if you can buy into the samurai look, I think that this figure will make a great display, you know, piece for your collection. I'm still not 100% convinced this for me, but with every piece I look at, I get a little bit more convinced. Boba Fett was definitely, while one of the most striking ones, I think, that I've seen thus far, it's definitely like the weaker overall figure. The Stormtrooper one and this one definitely do a better job of encompassing both the aesthetic look that they're going for, that's fairly seamless, with the ability to pose and articulate in an action figure kind of style. So I applaud them. I'm looking for what's coming down the pike. I can't wait to look at that Royal Guard one. That's the one that might send me over the top on this set. But at the very least, I appreciate Chris L. sending them to me so I got an opportunity to look at them, because they're a class act. So if you like them, I can't think of a reason to tell you not to get them. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.